Once Mom gets discharged, I'm counting on you to take care of her." "What? You're going to be the one taking care of her? It's obvious we're family." He threatened me with divorce papers when I refused to take care of my mother-in-law. "Do you want to be a poor single mom? If you don't, then just do as you're told." I can't take it anymore. I'm so done with this life. Just watch it. I'll make you regret this for sure. My name is Catherine. I'm 43. I live with my husband, Bob, and our high school-aged daughter, Emma. We get by on Bob's salary and the part-time work I do to support our family. We're not rich by any means, but we have a reasonably good life. Then one day, the worst thing happened. "Catherine, it looks like Mom has collapsed and has been taken to the hospital." "Ah, your mom." My mother-in-law lies alone at home, but she's spry for her age. Apparently, she hurt her back in an accident while she was out shopping and now has to stay in the hospital for a while. Anyway, it's good that her life's not in danger. I'll go check on her at the hospital tomorrow. "All right, take care." "Aren't you coming?" "Huh? Why would I?" "Right, okay, I'll go alone. Please send my regards to your mom." "Why?" "I don't visit my mother-in-law in the hospital." "That's because I've cut ties with her. I've been married to Bob for 20 years. Since the beginning, my mother-in-law has detested me and has gone out of her way to make life difficult." "You're really inefficient, aren't you, Catherine? You're not suitable for my son. I wish he had a better wife." "I never imagined you'd be this useless," enduring the continuous verbal abuse from my mother-in-law that wore down my spirit. Whatever I did, it was always, "Father-in-law is useless, not good enough. Poor Bob," and so on. I was met with complaints every time we met, but I held on as long as I could because she was Bob's mother, whom I love. However, even after my daughter Emma was born, the mother-in-law's harsh words did not stop. On the contrary, she started finding fault with Emma as well. "Just great, the long-awaited grandchild is a girl. She can't carry on the family name. She's of no use. If it's a girl, she should just at least be pretty. Who on earth does she take after?" Amidst the difficult days, the worst situation that finally decided the end of our relationship occurred one day when my mother-in-law was unusually relaxed at our house. My daughter ran up to her with a picture book. "Granny, can you read this?" The moment Emma handed over the book, mother-in-law knocked it down and hurled at Emma, "Don't touch me with your dirty hands. I don't need an unattractive grandchild like you." Emma was startled by her grandmother's loud voice and began to cry. "Granny's scary." I must have been very sad. She was sobbing, and it hurt me to see her like that. Even yelling at my young daughter, I had reached my limit. "Hey, mother-in-law, what do you think you're doing?" I rushed over, but my mother-in-law showed no signs of remorse. Rather, she snapped, "It's your daughter's fault." "You've got to be kidding. I saw what you did. You knocked Emma's book out of her hand, didn't you? Trying to touch me with her dirty hands." "Dirty hands? Can you say that? If you're going to do this to my daughter, don't come to our house anymore. They'll get cheeky with me. I don't care about you all. Why did you come to see Bob? This is also the house of me and Emma. Stop making silly excuses." In this way, my mother-in-law got into a big argument. Bob just stood there flustered, saying, "Hey, both of you, please stop," and didn't even warn his mother. She eventually went home grumbling all the while, but this proved to be the final straw. "I can't deal with your mother anymore. I'm fed up with you not defending me and Emma. Let's get divorced." When I said that, Bob started flustering again. "Hey, wait a minute. Even I find my mom tough to deal with. I just couldn't say anything because it was all so sudden. Today, I'm on your side, Catherine and Emma. People can say anything they want, but unless you act on it, it means nothing. Anyway, I can't take it anymore." Then my husband made a proposal. Okay, if you insist, Catherine, I don't mind if you cut ties with my mom. But please, I beg you, don't divorce me." I was torn. Would there be any benefit staying with such an unreliable husband in the future? Even if we cut ties, could I really avoid any interaction with my husband's mother forever? In the end, the reason I didn't go through with the divorce was because of our daughter. Our daughter adores her father, and he's a good and caring dad when he's with her. For our young daughter's sake, taking away her father right now wouldn't be right. So I decided to put the divorce on hold on the condition that I'd sever ties with my mother-in-law. But if anything else happens, I won't be lenient. I get it. I'll talk to my mom too. And with that, we reached an agreement, and I severed ties with my mother-in-law. I'll never let my daughter meet her grandmother again. That was a condition of our reconciliation. After 10 years, I can't forget what my mother-in-law did. As for visiting her, that's out of the question. Frankly, what happens to my mother-in-law isn't my business. A few days later, my husband came to me with a serious look on his face. Catherine, I need to talk. What is it? My husband looked awkward in response to my question. It's about my mom. Apparently, she'll need care after she's discharged. So what? It'll cost a lot if she goes to a facility, right? So I was thinking we should take care of her at home. Oh, that's impressive. Good luck. No, not me. You. What? What is he talking about? What? You're not seriously. You know that my mother's in a bad way, right, Catherine? He fell silent. The fact that he even suggests this was beyond my comprehension, to avoid any unwarranted expectations. I laid it out for him clearly. Look, I have a job too, you know, and there's no way I can take on the responsibility of caring for your mother. But you're just working part-time, right? Surely you can find some time to take care of my mother. If that's what you think, then I'll just talk to my boss about switching to full-time. How about that? There was no point in dragging out the conversation. My feelings weren't going to change, and his timid demeanor was only annoying me. Although he looked like he wanted to say something, I naturally ignored him. The next day, it seemed he had spoken to his mother in the hospital as she called me. Excuse me, Catherine, what on earth are you thinking, refusing to care for your own mother-in-law? Yes, I refuse. Is there a problem? Her bizarre shriek came through the phone when faced with my calm response. For me, in my time, of course, I've cut you off. Remember, you're not even my mother-in-law to me anymore. I have no desire to help you with your care. What did you just say? How dare you? You and that errant child absolutely will not tolerate this refusal. To be honest, I considered just hanging up on her. It was a hassle, but if I didn't firmly reject her now, she'd probably just keep calling. I was prepared to settle this today, so I faced off with my mother-in-law. Do you remember why I cut you off in the first place, mother-in-law? What do you mean? Are you implying I've done something wrong? Have you already forgotten? Because of your insidious bullying and your appalling attitude towards my daughter. My husband also agreed to this decision. Goodbye. Wait, hold on. With no further discussion, I ended the call and promptly blocked her number. A few days later, Bob tried to bring up the topic again. Hey, about my mom. Again, I couldn't hide my irritation as I responded. Just so we're clear, I have absolutely no sympathy for my mother-in-law. No matter what happens to her, I've told you again and again that I won't provide care, right? Unexpectedly, her normally compliant husband shot back without hesitation. No, you're going to take care of my mom. Count on it. What? What does he mean? I've repeatedly stated that I don't want to have anything to do with my estranged mother-in-law. Is he like a chicken forgetting everything after taking 3 steps? Count on it is not the response I want. I said I will provide care, remember? I fired back defiantly, but my husband is different today. No matter how much I argue, he persistently pushes back. The heated argument I had with my mother-in-law on the phone days ago came to mind. Probably my mother-in-law had given him a piece of her mind afterward. Anyway, you're going to take care of my mom. It's obvious, isn't it? Former family, right? Remember, it was your idea to cut ties with your mother. That was then. My mom is now weak, and it's a different situation. She's not as energetic as she was after hospitalization. Yet you're still talking like a child. Childish? Me? The reason we're in this situation is because of that damn mother-in-law's childish harassment. And according to the conversation on the phone, your mother seemed pretty lively, didn't she? And even my husband repeatedly demands. I take care of his mother. I'm not going to back down. No matter what you say, I can't do what I can't do. And if it's that important to you, you can do it yourself. At that, her husband silently handed her a sheet of paper. What's this? Can't you tell? It's a divorce paper. To her shock, her husband had presented her with a completed divorce form. If you don't want to get divorced, take care of my mom. My silent disbelief only prompted my husband to pressure me more. You'd be in trouble if we divorce now, right? Emma will be a college student next year. You just a part-timer. Can't possibly survive if you divorce me now, right? If you don't like it, just do as you're told. The man who didn't consider my feelings, using our daughter as leverage to threaten me. I just can't continue being married to someone like this. It's impossible. The moment I was convinced of this, I felt my feelings for my husband quickly disappear. I'm going to end this. That's what I thought. Hey, are you even listening? You were all fired up just a moment ago. Now, a divorce is a reality. Are you scared? My husband looked down at me, laughing. My daughter came into the room, probably hearing us argue. Hey, I heard raised voices. What's going on? Then my husband started a tirade on Emma too. Oh, you're just in time. You'll be helping with your grandmother's care too. What? Why me? It's obvious, isn't it? She's your beloved grandma. You could at least help with the caregiving. I couldn't believe that they would impose my mother-in-law's care on my daughter without a second thought. I was so pissed off that I signed the divorce papers as fast as I could. What are you doing, Catherine? Isn't it obvious? I'm signing the divorce papers. I'll go submit them once I'm done. Perhaps he hadn't expected me to agree to the divorce so easily. Bob started to panic. Oh, hey, enough already. Did you even listen to me? You're going to be the one who's going to have a hard time if we get divorced. I don't care. Compared to staying involved with you, any hardship seems bearable. With divorce papers in hand, I began to prepare to leave. Then, perhaps numb to the situation, my husband took the final step. Are you sure about this? If we divorce, you'll have to give up Emma. I'm warning you, I'll get custody. You'll never see our daughter again. A husband who had no doubt in his mind that he's superior to his wife. Truly, how stupid can you be? Even if we get divorced, I will not give up my daughter. I will do whatever it takes to provide for my daughter at all costs. I will get custody of Emma. Shut up. Considering our financial situation, it's natural that I get hurt. You won't see our daughter again. Tough luck. At that moment, Emma, who had been quietly listening, chimed in. What are you talking about? I'm going with Mom. Ha! At Emma's words, Bob stood there dumbstruck. What are you saying? If you follow your mother, Catherine, you'll only face hardship. I don't care. It's better than being with you, Dad. I would never want to take care of Grandma. That's right. My daughter had not forgotten what my mother-in-law had done to her in the past. I really hate Grandma for bullying Mom. I'm also disgusted with you, Dad, for not helping my mom. I don't care about the money. I'm going to live with Mom. At my daughter's words, a surge of indescribable emotion welled up within me. I had hoped she would choose to come with me, but I never imagined that she thought it through so much. My husband, looking quite pathetic, started trying to persuade us to stay. Wait just a second. Wait, if you're gone, who's gonna take care of the house? Why don't you do it yourself, Dad? My daughter responded with a smirk. You can take care of Grandma and do all the housework all by yourself. That's impossible. I have a job, you know. So what? Mom has been working and doing house chores, and you want her to take care of Grandma on top of that, expecting others to do what you won't do yourself. That's ridiculous. My daughter gave my husband a thorough tongue lashing, leaving him completely stunned. Eventually, he resorted to his usual tactic of crying to win us over. Oh, why are you guys blaming me so much? I just asked for a little help with the caregiving. There was a time when we might have let it slide, but neither my daughter nor I have that kind of patience anymore. Looking at my crying husband, all we could do was shake our heads in disbelief. Let's go, Mom. Let's hurry up and pack our things. Right. My daughter and I each packed our belongings, took the divorce papers, and left the house. My husband kept crying, trying to stop us until the last moment, but of course, we ignored him completely. We submitted the divorce papers at the city hall, and our divorce was finalized. My daughter and I decided to live at my parents' house for a while. By the way, my family runs a flower shop. Right now, I am working part-time and helping out with the family's flower shop, trying to save money for my daughter's college tuition. My husband continued to contact me persistently even after that. Mom is throwing stuff at me. Help me. I can't handle it anymore on my own. Please come back. Since he was so annoying, I blocked his contact. Living with my ill-tempered mother-in-law every day must be quite a struggle, and it seems that my husband is having to care for her day and night without any sleep. Finally, my company has moved to shorter working hours, and my paycheck seems to be barely scraping by. If I had known it would come to this, I should have done whatever it took to put my mother-in-law into a facility. Well, it's too late to talk about what I should have done now. Besides, thanks to my husband making a fuss about caregiving, I'm able to spend these days with my daughter. I guess I should thank him for that bit. From now on, I want to live each day in cooperation with my cherished family.
Isabella, a renowned designer known for her creation of simple yet elegant dresses for affluent women, dedicated all her time and energy to her craft. At 35, she resided alone in a spacious studio apartment, furnished with only a comfortable bed and a small table where she enjoyed her morning coffee. The majority of the space was dominated by a large table holding fabric samples and her beloved sewing machine, a faithful companion in her solitary journey. Her social life took a backseat due to a flood of clothing orders from prestigious brands. Having never formed a family, Isabella once came close to marriage, but fate had other plans. She sighed, setting aside a folder of fabric samples in her attic studio, located in an elite district. The windows remained uncovered, allowing ample daylight to filter in. Isabella rose, tying the belt of her crisp white silk robe, and approached the window. The evening city below sparkled with golden lights, and farther away, the bay gleamed with lanterns along the main promenade. Evenings brought a stark awareness of her loneliness, unlike the busy days filled with creativity and work. The glittering city beneath made her feel like an invisible comet traversing a desolate cosmic space. Isabella sighed again, shifting her gaze from the distant city to her reflection in the glass. Her dark curly locks framed her face, and round reading glasses suited her well. Bright blue eyes, inherited from her mother, showed barely noticeable crow's feet. Isabella still possessed the beauty of her youth, often surprising others who assumed she was no older than 28. However, she believed such compliments were mere flattery. Looking into her own eyes, Isabella saw the echo of years spent in solitude, feeling akin to an ancient crone. Initially, she fought against this feeling, attempting to combat loneliness by donning a long black dress and wandering among brightly lit expensive storefronts or dropping into noisy bars. There, she would order lemonade, immersing herself in the music that once brought joy when shared with Javier, her fiancé. Memories of Javier's lively face and chestnut eyes filled with love haunted her, yet she rebuffed attempts by others to introduce themselves during her outings. Eventually, the walks became unbearable, leading Isabella to abandon evening excursions altogether. Instead, she immersed herself in her work, watched black and white movies, read, or doodled in her sketchbook until the late hours. Isabella ran her hand through her hair, pushing away memories. Turning from the window, she glanced at the wall clock. A gift from designer Hugo Martinez, its black and white dial showing 10 minutes to 10. Another call was imminent. The unraveling of Isabella's story began 7 years prior, a few months after her failed wedding. Suffering from the sudden disappearance of Javier, her fiancé, on their wedding day, Isabella mourned deeply. Taken in by her sister Mercedes and her husband, Isabella spent days staring blankly at the floral pattern on the wallpaper in a small room under the roof. It was in that room, as night approached and darkness enveloped her, that something peculiar occurred. Her unlit room became a canvas for disjointed images from the past. Memories of laughter, discussions of dreams, and promises of love flooded her mind. She vividly recalled the first date, walks in the park, and evenings by the fireplace. The room echoed with the chime of the old family clock striking 10, coinciding with the illumination of the room by a cold bluish-white light. Her mobile screen lit up with an incoming call from an unknown number ending in 49, the same numbers associated with the house on San Martin Street, where she and Javier had planned to build a life together. A tear rolled down Isabella's cheek as the call ended, only to be followed by the same numbers lighting up once more. Intrigued and somewhat apprehensive, Isabella answered the persistent call, her heart pounding. Yet the only response she received was a haunting silence. The next evening, precisely at 10 o'clock, the routine repeated itself. A call arrived from a different number, yet the enigmatic digits 49 persisted. Pressing the answer button, Isabella faced the familiar silence on the other end. Faint, intermittent breathing seemed to linger in the background, but certainty eluded her. Like clockwork, every day at 10 o'clock, the unknown number would grace her mobile screen, delivering nothing but ringing silence. Despite confiding in her sister about the mysterious calls and being advised to involve the police, Isabella hesitated. A peculiar sense of comfort and hope accompanied these daily occurrences, inexplicably soothing her. 7 years had passed, yet Isabella continued to anticipate the call with the digits 49, as if the universe communicated with her in this cryptic manner. Today, precisely at 10 o'clock, the phone rang once more. Holding it to her ear, Isabella immersed herself in the symbolic silence for a moment. "Good night to you too," she whispered to herself, ending the call. As she prepared to place the phone on the bedside table, it vibrated again in her hand. This time, a familiar number graced the screen. Hugo's name. They had collaborated on a collection 5 years ago, and he had gifted her the watch. Aware of Hugo's long-standing affection, Isabella had maintained a strictly professional relationship. "It's odd that he's calling so late," Isabella mused as she answered. "Hello, darling, how are you?" Hugo's friendly voice greeted her. "Hugo, it's me. I'm fine. Why are you calling at this hour?" Isabella inquired. "No worries, not asking you out on a date." Hugo chuckled, putting Isabella at ease. It was always challenging for her to decline Hugo's invitations, but she valued their friendship. "Just hear me out," Hugo urged. "My manager called. We've been invited to a major business conference in the capital. Everyone will be there, understand. A golden opportunity to showcase our new collections, attract prestigious clients, and break into the international market." Isabella. The weight of the moment left Isabella momentarily speechless. "I don't even know what to say," she stammered. "What if I can't handle it?" A dissatisfied grumble emanated from the other end. "How can you not handle it? You're a pro. Where else would we find someone like you? You'll ace the collection presentation. I have complete faith in you," Hugo reassured, eliciting a grateful smile from Isabella. Hugo always knew how to support her. "But how did you manage to arrange this?" she asked, curious. For Hugo Martinez, nothing is impossible, he chuckled, affirming his unwavering confidence. With wishes for a good night, Hugo hung up, leaving Isabella lying in bed, her mind buzzing with excitement. She had dreamed of European recognition for so long, but never did she expect Hugo to make it a reality. The subsequent weeks were a flurry of preparation. The collection, still in the sketch stage at the time of Hugo's call, demanded swift action, finding fabric samples, making purchases, and crafting the models. By early May, everything stood ready, with only the final polish needed for the presentation aimed at captivating wealthy compatriots and European businessmen. Hugo emailed the tickets, prompting Isabella to contemplate her attire for the conference. Opting for strict tones with a touch of boldness, she sought to make a memorable impression. Why not wear a hat? Hugo's suggestion resonated over the phone, instantly sparking an image in Isabella's mind. Isabella settled on a light-fitting trouser suit, strategically concealing a slightly protruding belly. Underneath, she wore a thin meshed turtleneck, and atop her head sat a huge pink hat, complemented by matching candy-colored shoes. Hugo gave his approval, dressed in a mint-colored shirt accentuating his bronze tan, light trousers, and the vest. "We definitely won't go unnoticed." Hugo chuckled over the phone, and Isabella concurred. Their hour-long flight had them seated apart. Hugo dozed off, while Isabella reviewed the presentation materials, her nervousness palpable with sweaty palms. Much hung in the balance, her future prospects, and the realization of a long-standing dream. The woman couldn't fathom the significance this business meeting would hold for her. The prior evening, precisely at 10 p.m., the mysterious call had come again. In a moment of unexpected spontaneity, Isabella had declared, "Tomorrow, my dream will come true." Silence lingered on the other end, yet Isabella sensed a silent sigh. Before landing, she managed a brief 10-minute nap, accompanied by a peculiar dream. Walking down the street in a pink hat under bright sunshine, she suddenly remembered the impending conference. In a rush to call Hugo, she realized her phone was missing. Panic set in as a hurricane wind snatched her hat away, leaving her in despair as darkness descended, accompanied by the tolling of a bell -10 strikes. Upon awakening, Isabella found herself still in the grip of the vivid dream. Javier, her ex-fiancé, rarely visited her dreams, and this time he appeared as a tangible presence. The unsettling feeling lingered as the plane descended. Upon landing, Hugo's concern was evident. "You look so pale, Belle. Did you have a rough flight?" he asked. "I'm fine, Hugo. It'll pass soon," she reassured. Hugo handled their luggage, called a taxi, and took charge, allowing Isabella a moment to collect herself. Despite feeling unwell, she pressed on. Arriving at the hotel, Hugo assisted with check-in and accompanied her to her room, emphasizing the importance of a good night's rest. "Sleep, sleep, sleep," he encouraged. Isabella, still in the throes of her emotions, entered her room, showered, and nestled under the fluffy blanket. At 10 o'clock, the anticipated call never came. Isabella waited for minutes that stretched into half an hour. By midnight, tears flowed, the first time in years. "Where are you?" she whispered in despair. In the morning, a concerned Hugo woke her. "Belle, are you still asleep? The conference starts in 40 minutes. Isabella rushed to get ready, masking dark circles with foundation. The hat covered any hair mishaps. Descending to the lobby with presentation materials in hand, Hugo expressed relief. "Thank God you're on time, Belle. As always, just a little tired," he remarked. "I slept very poorly," Isabella explained. "I understand," Hugo empathized. "I've called the taxi." In the car, swiftly arriving at a skyscraper with blue windows, Hugo consulted notes. "The conference will be on the 13th floor," he muttered. "Conference room number 49. Isabella froze. Hugo disapproved but refrained from comment. Entering the hall, a diverse crowd had gathered, renowned designers, fashion connoisseurs, and entrepreneurs worldwide. Seated at the front, Isabella momentarily forgot her worries. She was about to address this prestigious audience. Isabella extracted the presentation script from her folder, attempting to immerse herself in it, pushing the lingering unease in her soul aside to focus on her speech. The hall gradually filled with new faces, but Isabella hardly noticed. She only looked up from the text once to confirm that the rail displaying samples of her collection adorned the stage. Bright green feathers on dresses and the golden shimmer of sequins on jackets instantly caught her eye. Tears welled up as she was transported 7 years back, to the day she wore a radiant golden dress on her way to marry Javier. Refusing the traditional white wedding dress, she opted for audacious gold, a bold choice for her hometown. But in that moment, all she could think about was Javier and the eagerness to become his wife. Hugo's gentle squeeze on her elbow snapped her out of the grip of memories. "Belle, you're next," he whispered, and Isabella nodded. Taking a deep breath, she heard her name amidst applause, stepped onto the low stage, and faced the sea of camera flashes. As Isabella composed herself, ready to begin her presentation, something disrupted her focus. Her heart pounded desperately, and her head spun. What was causing this sudden fluster? Scanning the audience once more, she locked eyes with someone familiar, intense brown eyes belonging to the dearest person in her life. Transported back 7 years, Isabella recalled the limousine stop at the church, stepping out in her luxurious golden dress. Her sister adjusted her hair as they ascended the wide staircase. Her father blessed her, kissed her forehead, and the doors swung open. The hall, however, greeted her with confused and empty stares, devoid of smiles or joy. Descending the memory lane, Isabella remembered the funeral-like atmosphere, the distant cries, and the shock of learning Javier had gone missing. A week later, they discovered his bloated body in a lake. Isabella turned to designing dresses as a way to cope. Now, standing before 100 people, she felt the weight of her long-lost loved one's eyes on her. "Come on, Bill," Hugo whispered, urging her forward. Isabella took a deep breath, beginning her performance. Yet, despite her will, her gaze wandered. Among the audience, she spotted the man with the familiar eyes, part of a foreign delegation, his dark, wavy hair revealing a touch of gray. Caught in his gaze, the man stood up and headed for the exit. Panic surged through Isabella. Stumbling and swaying, she dropped the presentation sheet. A commotion ensued in the front row as Hugo rushed to the stage to assist. Isabella helplessly looked between him and the exiting man, fearing he would vanish before she could unravel the mystery of those familiar eyes. Hugo stepped onto the stage, his hand on Isabella's elbow. "Are you okay?" he asked quietly. Isabella nodded, her throat dry. "Can you continue the presentation?" Hugo inquired, but Isabella's attention was fixed on the man by the exit, intent on leaving. "Wait," Isabella shouted, rushing towards the exit. Ignoring Hugo's words, her pink hat fell to the floor, but she paid it no mind. The man reached the elevator, and Isabella followed, slipping inside just in time. "I must seem crazy, but you look so much like someone dear to me, someone who passed away 7 years ago," she explained, her voice barely audible. The man lifted his eyes, and Isabella's heart froze. It was Javier, or someone who looked exactly like him, his gaze filled with tenderness and love, tinged with guilt. "Bill, how I've missed you," the man whispered, embracing her tightly. Tears streaming down her face, Isabella clung to him. "Where have you been all this time? Why did you leave me?" she pleaded. "I'll tell you everything," Javier replied softly, running his hand through her hair. The elevator doors opened, and Javier led her to a waiting car around the corner. Isabella sat in the passenger seat, Javier behind the wheel, and they drove off. It felt surreal. Javier's hands on the wheel, the dark hair on his wrists. "I saw you in a dream on the plane," Isabella sighed, struggling to grasp the reality of the moment. "I saw you in a dream every day throughout all these years," Javier confessed quietly. Parking in a narrow alley, he turned to her. "Forgive me, Bill. I couldn't do otherwise," he said. As Isabella leaned forward, suspicion crept in, but Javier gently asked her not to interrupt. "I couldn't put you in danger, Bill, so I staged my own death," he confessed, causing Isabella to burst into tears. "How could you, Javier? How could you?" she asked. "I almost died of grief when I found out you had drowned. I almost went crazy. And all these years, why did you leave me for so long? Why didn't you get in touch? It would have been enough just to hear from you," Isabella questioned, her emotions pouring out. "All this time, I had to hide. You can't imagine how dangerous they are, Bill. Yes, I was afraid for myself, but most of all for you," Javier explained, his eyes reflecting the weight of his hidden struggles. "I called you every evening." Isabella was thunderstruck. "So it was you," she sighed, her heart flooding with mixed emotions. Javier gently stroked her cheek, his touch a balm to her soul. "I thought about you every minute of every hour of every day of mine. I missed you so much, my love." Isabella nestled against him, her voice filled with longing. "Me too. But why didn't you call yesterday?" she asked, puzzled by his absence. "I was on a plane," Javier simply replied, his eyes filled with warmth. "And I knew that tomorrow I would finally see you." Isabella moved away slightly, her gaze searching his eyes for answers. "But why did you leave all these years? I've been following your success. When I found out you were going to participate in the biggest business conference, I suggested to my company to become your investor. I really wanted your dream to come true. When you stepped onto the stage in your enchanting outfit, I almost went crazy with the desire to touch you, but I couldn't approach. I didn't want to ruin everything by disrupting your presentation. I never thought you would notice me in the audience. I was afraid of breaking your life again. You've come so far, become famous nationwide. There was no room for me in your life." Isabella shook her head, tears brimming in her eyes. "Career could never replace what I've lost. You've always been everything to me." "Oh, Belle," Javier uttered, salty drops rolling down his face, revealing the depth of his emotions. Isabella held him close, feeling his vulnerability, a familiar sensation stirring within her, a longing to care for him, to ease his burdens. "What will become of us now?" Isabella whispered, her voice trembling with uncertainty. I don't know. I'm free from them now, but it's not certain. In this business, you can never be 100% sure. I'm afraid it's still not safe for me. Isabella squeezed his hand, her heart heavy with worry. I don't care. Life without you doesn't make sense. Javier ran his hand thoughtfully through her hair, contemplating their future. Are you sure? He asked softly. Isabella nodded without hesitation. Javier sighed, pulling her closer, his touch reassuring and tender. Then he kissed her, a promise of a new beginning, and started the car, embarking on their journey together. From that moment on, they never parted ways. Greetings, I'm Mabel, and I've recently turned 30. A substantial inheritance came my way, unveiling the unsightly aspects of my husband. Today, I'm eager to share this tale and how, unintentionally, I found retribution against two individuals simultaneously. Let me commence by delving a bit into my background. I grew up distanced from my grandparents, yet our bond remained strong. Every 3 to 4 months, they would visit, showering me with affection. My grandmother was particularly fond of me, and her passing when I was 17 left me devastated. Choosing a college in her state allowed me to stay close to her. It was there that I met Toby, my ex-husband, during our junior year. Our relationship flourished, and we got engaged after graduation. While waiting for financial stability to tie the knot, Toby moved in with me. Though our relationship was solid, his sister Julia became a constant source of strife. Despite living in another state, she maintained an unhealthy obsession with Toby, harboring resentment towards me. However, I tolerated her antics due to her bringing over her daughter, Viola, whom I adored. 3 years into our engagement, Toby and I decided it was time to marry. The celebration was joyous until, 4 years into marriage, 2 significant events unfolded. Firstly, my beloved grandmother passed away, leaving me heartbroken and inheriting a substantial fortune. Secondly, Julia and her family returned to town, causing Toby's attention to shift. He spent most of his time at Julia's, and when at home, Julia became a frequent visitor. The only solace was spending time with Viola. I was still grappling with the grief over my grandmother's passing, and Toby seemed increasingly distant. Attempts to discuss my feelings with him proved futile until one rare evening when he returned home alone after work. Hey, sweetie, how was your day? I inquired, seizing the opportunity. It was pretty good. What about you? Toby replied, his nonchalant demeanor evident. I've noticed you've been visiting Julia quite often. What's going on? I ventured. We're really close, and I miss her. I just feel better around her, he explained. Sensing an opening for a deeper conversation, I probed further. Do you want to know what we talked about? I asked, hoping for a connection. Yeah, sure. Tell me, he responded. I mentioned our plan to buy a house, and Julia was curious about how we could afford it. I shared about your inheritance, and she thinks it would be a great investment for us, Toby revealed. Interrupting him, I stated firmly, I never agreed to that. Listen, Julia thinks it's a wise move. We'd be well settled for the rest of our lives, Toby argued, seemingly more focused on the financial benefits. I have other ideas for my money, things that could benefit both of us in the long run, I asserted. Tension escalated as Toby insisted. I want to invest in a house. We should do it together. I don't want to spend all my money on one thing. I get to decide how to use it. I defended my stance. Toby issued an ultimatum. Either invest our money in something for both of us, or I'm leaving. Perplexed, I questioned. Where would you go? Are you okay with leaving me over money? You're the one making it about money. I thought you loved me and wanted a future together, he retorted. Realizing the disconnect, I held my ground. I'm keeping my money, and I decide how to spend it. But if you're leaving over this, it's your choice. Toby distanced himself after our confrontation, spending even more time at Julia's. She stopped visiting, except to drop Viola off. Something felt off, and I knew I had to stand on my ground. every time Julia needed me to babysit Viola. I attempted to have a conversation with Toby about what was bothering him. Despite my multiple inquiries, he consistently brushed me off, claiming that nothing was wrong. Eventually, I gave up, deciding to wait until he was ready to open up. However, the situation took an unexpected turn when Julia dropped Viola off at my place one day for me to babysit. "Hey, Viola, how's my favorite niece doing?" I greeted her. "I'm your only niece, but I hope I'll always be your favorite," she replied. "Of course you will be. Anyway, what do you want to do today?" Viola excitedly suggested. "I was thinking we could go get our nails done and then get some ice cream." "Yay! Can I paint my nails pink?" she asked. "Of course you can. And can I get strawberry ice cream?" "Why can't you? We'll get you everything you want. I only have one niece, and if I don't spoil her, would I really be her aunt?" Viola sweetly declared, "You know you're my favorite aunt. I really will miss you." "Miss me, sweetie? What do you mean? I'm not going anywhere." "Are you sure?" "Yes, of course. Where do you think I'll be going?" "Well, it's just that." "What is it?" "You can tell me anything. I swear I won't tell anyone else a word." Viola hesitated but finally shared, "Okay, well, I heard Mommy and Uncle talking the other day." Uncle, as in Uncle Toby, yeah. Mommy said she's going to help Uncle with getting some cases. "Cases? What are you talking about?" "They kept talking about some cases that would give them some money. Then she told her uncle that he would have a nice big house after he left you." "What? Oh my God, sweetie. When did you hear about this?" "Well, I heard about this like 2 days ago." "Are you sure you heard correctly?" "Yes, I'm sure that I heard correctly." As soon as Mommy saw that I was listening to them, she yelled at me to go to my room. She also told me not to tell you anything about her talk with her uncle, but I only told you because you're my favorite aunt. "Thank you so much, sweetie. Now, enough of this. Let's go out and have a fun day." I did my best to carry on with the day as if I hadn't heard Viola's revelation. I could tell she felt bad for telling me, but I assured her that she did nothing wrong. After enjoying the day, when it was time for Viola to go back home, I made her promise not to tell her mom or Toby about our conversation. Viola promised and hugged me goodbye. As Julia picked her up, panic began to rise in my chest. I sensed something was wrong with Toby, but the idea of him trying to manipulate me into spending my money on him was a new low. It was something I would have never expected from him, so I took the only course of action I could think of and called Toby's father, Edgar, who happened to be a lawyer. Despite the potential suspicion that Edgar might be involved in Toby and Julia's plan, my gut feeling told me he was a good man. Edgar had always treated me like a princess and consistently put Julia in her place whenever she tried to bully me. Edgar answered the call in his usual amiable manner. "Hello, darling. To what do I owe this phone call?" "Hi, Edgar. How are you?" I asked. "Oh, I'm doing quite well. What about you?" he replied. I actually don't know. I called because I need your help," I confessed. "My help? What could I help you with? Isn't Toby around?" Edgar inquired. "He is, but he kind of is the problem," I explained. "Oh no, I always told that boy to treat you right because it's really hard to come by women as amazing as you," he sympathized. "Thank you, Edgar. You may be the only one in your family that thinks of me as amazing." "What are you talking about?" "Well, I was babysitting Viola the other day, and she told me that Toby and Julia were planning something against me." "Against you? What do you mean?" "She didn't know the specifics, but there is a case involved. Apparently, they plan on taking money from me." "What in God's name are you telling me?" "I also don't know what's going on. I'm worried, and I figured I'd come to you for help, considering you're a lawyer." "You did a great job of coming to me. Now tell me, do you believe Viola?" "I do, and only because in the past few months, Toby has begun to draw away from me. I tried to talk to him about it, but he never took me seriously." "All right. And why do you think Julia is involved?" "Ever since she moved back, they began to spend a lot of time together. I get it. They were living far apart for years before, and it made sense. But then, In the past few months, he was going over to her house for hours every single day. That's a little weird. Did something happen a few months ago that triggered Toby's strange reaction? I got my grandmother's inheritance because she passed away. It was quite a large amount of money. Toby wanted to use it to buy a house, but I was a little hesitant about it. After that, he's been acting weird. My guess is that they're going to try and get your money. First of all, I'm so worried that my children are doing this to you. This was not how I raised them. Secondly, why don't you drop by my office tomorrow and we'll hash this out properly? That sounds great. And you have nothing to apologize for. You're clearly a good man. Thank you for helping me out. I don't know what I would do without you. I was genuinely grateful that Edgar was helping me out. I did not think he would side with me over his children, but I was glad that he did. The next day, I took a day off from work and made my way over to his office. Once there, Edgar apologized once again for Toby and Julia's actions, but I told him to just help me navigate around this. We figured that Toby was going to ask for a divorce. So the first order of business was to contact all the reputable divorce lawyers in our city and ask for advice. This would then limit Toby's access to good lawyers because there would be a conflict of interest, considering they already knew my side. The next thing we had to figure out was how they planned to take my inheritance from me. Fortunately, I had the foresight to keep my inheritance money in a separate bank account, refraining from using it for any purchases for Toby or myself. While I initially intended to buy Toby some luxury items he desired, it became evident that such plans were unlikely to materialize. Edgar and I suspected that the only way for them to access that money was through outright theft. With this in mind, I decided to set up the perfect scenario to catch them. My apartment already had a top-of-the-line security system due to my concerns about break-ins, a fact Toby was aware of and agreed to when he moved in. The next step was subtly letting Toby know that my bank details were stored on my laptop. Creating a facade of bank troubles that he could help me with accomplished this effortlessly. Lastly, I informed Toby that I would be meeting a friend over the weekend, leaving him home alone. Meanwhile, Edgar would serve as a witness and corroborate my alibi. During our conversation, I received a notification that money had been transferred from my account to our joint account. Seizing the opportunity, I promptly called the police to report the unauthorized transaction. Upon my return from meeting Edgar, Toby sat in the dining room, urging me to join him. "We need to talk," he asserted. "About what?" "About us?" I questioned. "Okay, we're not working out," he admitted. "I agree. What do you mean?" I responded. "Well, for starters, I didn't like how you threatened to end the relationship over money. I would have spent on us had you not done that. I didn't think that you would. That's another point. You think so lowly of me, and I don't think that's a sign of a good partner. It's as if you've been a good partner. You've been selfish since the start, and I only put up with it because I love you." How in the world was I selfish? I helped you pay off your student loans first instead of mine. I supported you for a whole year when you didn't have a job. I sacrificed so much to make sure you were happy. The few times I didn't do what you wanted, I became a selfish monster to you. Don't act like what you did was some righteous thing. I would have done the same for you. Would you? You never helped me out when I was sick. Why would I think you would sacrifice your comfort for me when I really needed it? You're just trying to make me feel bad. No, and the last reason for not wanting to be with you is that I don't want to be with a lying, manipulative thief. What are you saying? Don't think I don't know about what you and Julia have been planning. I observed you transferring funds from my account to our joint account. I'm aware that you intended to split it during the divorce. Don't bother denying it. I've informed about everything. You've proven to be deceitful, and I see no reason to remain with you. Well, I'll still get half of what I transferred into our account. I still win, Toby argued. If I recall correctly, I had security cameras installed in my apartment, and you made that transaction from my laptop at a time when I wasn't at home. I've already reported you for theft. The police should be here anytime soon. You did what? Oh, here they come. Good luck. I'll see you in court. The relief I felt at finally seeing Toby held accountable was unparalleled. The subsequent weeks were filled with courtroom sessions and evidence reviews. Alongside the theft charges, I filed for divorce, with Edgar serving as my lawyer. He fought vigorously to ensure that Toby paid appropriately for his crimes, and Edgar won the case. Toby was sentenced to 2 years in jail and fined an additional $30,000. The taste of revenge was sweet. As Edgar and I celebrated our victory, Julia approached, conveniently absent during prior trials, only showing up on the day of the verdict. Her anger was evident as she pointed her finger at Edgar. "Dad, you are helping this witch. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't have helped Toby." "I don't know, because she literally put your brother in jail, and he deserved his sentence. That will make him think twice before trying to steal from someone again," Edgar responded. Julia questioned, "How could you do that to your own son?" "How could you do that to your own brother?" I retorted, "Don't think I didn't see the real reason behind your plan. You were going to help Toby get the money so you could also reap the benefits of it. I was trying to give him a break from this jerk. You have no idea how toxic she is for him." "I don't think she was the toxic one, Julia. You were a bad influence on him, and he was stupid enough to fall for your little game. He's getting the punishment he deserves, and maybe now he'll think twice before ever listening to you. You know you're going to lose him this way." "He will never talk to you again," Julia stated. "Good, because I have no children, as far as I'm concerned," Edgar replied. "Don't be so dramatic. I'll be here, but I'm not happy with the way you treated my baby brother. As far as I'm concerned, neither you nor your brother are my children, because I know for a fact that this is not how I raised my kids." "What are you talking about?" "What I'm conveying is that I'm disowning both of you, and I want nothing to do with either of you." "You can't do that." "Actually, I can, and I'm going to do just that. This is all Mabel's fault. If she just thought of someone other than herself for a second, this would not have been happening. No, you should not have been so greedy. I was going to spoil Toby with all the things he wanted, but you had to interfere. You took away everything from him, and I hope you sit and think long and hard about what you did to your brother. Goodbye." I grabbed Edgar's hand and we left. We couldn't help but let out a chuckle at what had happened. I was happy that Toby got what he deserved, and that I was going to be free of his manipulative ways. I was also happy to see Edgar take my side. I did feel bad that it was because of me that he had lost both of his children, but he assured me that it was their own decisions that led to that. I took him out for coffee after, and we've maintained a good friendship ever since. Julia harassed me a bunch over text, and Edgar took it upon himself to tell Julia and her husband to leave me alone. Now this is where I unintentionally got revenge on Julia as well. You see, Julia's husband had no idea about Julia's involvement in what happened between Toby and me, so he called Edgar and asked him what happened and was shocked to learn about what Julia had done. Apparently, their marriage had been in the dumps for a while because of Julia's constant nagging that he never brought home enough money while simultaneously refusing to work. He did not like that she would go to such lengths and asked for a divorce. Of course, he also asked for full custody of Viola and managed to get almost full custody. Julia got custody for every other weekend. Not to mention she didn't get much through that divorce either, considering that he had her sign an ironclad prenuptial agreement before marriage. Julia only received a small amount of alimony for a set period, and she was kicked out of their house. Once again, she blamed it all on me, and if I'm being completely honest, I was a little happy to see the way she got what she deserved. She tried to meddle in someone else's life, and she paid the ultimate price for it. Not to mention, I got to see Viola still because she loved me, and Julia's ex-husband could not say no to Viola. He was very apologetic for what Julia did, but I reminded him that he had no idea, so he had nothing to apologize for. And before you ask, yes, I am spoiling Viola senseless. As for me, my life is only getting better. I got a promotion at work and also decided to hire an accountant to help manage all my finances. I had invested my money in a few places, and it's only a matter of time before I get my returns on those. Getting to where I am today took a lot of struggle, but let me tell you, the view from where I'm at is one that I'm loving. I have a better understanding of people, and I'm going to be a lot more cautious.